The Lakers are reportedly looking to upgrade their roster with a veteran point guard, and one name that has come up internally is Russell Westbrook. The purple and gold would need to work out a sign-and trade to acquire the LA native and former MVP from Washington, and the team has explored if a deal centered around Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Kuzma, and THT and would do the trick. Chris Broussard still with us. Chris, would Westbrook work with LeBron and AD and the Lakers?
Not at all. That would be an absolute disaster. It's such a disaster that I can't even imagine it's real. I mean, has his name come up in discussions? They discuss all types of players. But no, and this is no, look, I've said it many a time. Russell Westbrook is going to be iconic. 25, 30 years from now, people are going to be talking about him like we talked somewhat about the Big O.
Yep.
This guy averaged a triple-double at 6'2", 6'3", for 4 seasons, 5 seasons, whatever it ends up being. But no, he is not a fit at all with LeBron James. Both of them are ball dominant. We know LeBron wants to get off the ball a little more as he's getting older. He's been off it a little more than ever with the Lakers. But the only way LeBron really is comfortable giving up those duties is if he feels like the other guy's a smart decision maker. Like, he would give them up to Chris Paul because he trusts his decision making. But Russ, that's not Russ's strength. Russ is not known for making the smartest decisions with the basketball. And then if LeBron has the ball in his hands, now Russ is not a spot-up shooter. He's not catch and shoot. Right, it would be a disaster. And Russ wants to play fast. He's best at playing fast. Even in the half court, he plays hectic. LeBron wants to play a slower, more deliberate game. And so this would not be a fit at all. Again, I can't put much credence into this at all. If they're looking at a veteran point guard, the one to be looking at is Chris Paul, not Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier. Chris Paul would be a better fit. Mike Conley would be a better fit for the Lakers than Russell Westbrook. Kyle Lowry would be a better fit. Lonzo would be a better fit for AD and LeBron than Russell Westbrook. Now, I'm not saying these guys are better players. The two things can be true. Russ is the better player, but they're the better fit. And you mentioned catch and shoot. Only 11% of his shots last season came on catch and shoot. He shot 35% on those. Not just three-point on all shots.
Well, that's actually a little better than usual, right? Like maybe he should be a catch-and-shoot shooter.
Well, as long as it's not from the three, because he's a terrible three. He's only a 31% career three-point shooter. He shot 32% last year, 31.5. I just don't look. And you're right, Chris. We will discuss. Teams will discuss all different types of scenarios. Well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? But then you realize, well, you know, we probably shouldn't put Russ with AD and LeBron. If Chris Paul, we can't get Chris Paul, let's look at Mike Conley. Let's look at Kyle Lowry. Malcolm Brogdon is not nearly the player that Russ is, but I believe he's a better fit for those two than what Russ would be.
Okay. I'll go this far. I would suggest that Russell Wilson would be a better fit than Russell Westbrook. And Russell Wilson doesn't even play pro basketball, right? But he is a quarterback, and he would distribute, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I want everybody to sit back for a second and understand all three of us are saying this would be a horrendously bad idea, and we're talking about a lock first ballot Hall of Famer in Russell Westbrook, who has done things statistically that even the Big O couldn't do, Oscar Robertson, because for the last 5 seasons, Russell Westbrook has averaged a triple-double, and 3 of the last 4, he has led the league in assists, and he's also a 2-time scoring champ and a 3-time total assist champ. And what's not to love except he's the ultimate solo act. I've never seen anything like him. And again, if he were the point guard for the Lakers, would I watch? Yeah. Would the TV ratings they might even go up for the Lakers because everybody would be looking for the train wreck, right? But in the end, as great as he is statistically, he's just difficult to play with.
Yes.
And he is so ball dominant that he has often led the league or been the top 2 or 3 in turnovers and in usage because he's just going to have the ball in his hands way more than LeBron would be comfortable with. And all you need to know is the guy who I think is still the best player on the planet, Kevin Durant, had a 3-1 lead with Russell as his co-star over Golden State, and when they blew it, he chose to join forces with Golden State because in the end, he decided, I just can't win a championship with Russell Westbrook as my primary decision maker because Russ was dribbling the ball up the floor every time and choosing my turn or your turn. And finally, Kevin said, I just can't live with that. Well, neither could LeBron, neither could Anthony Davis, because even at 32 last year, he averaged 22, 12, and 12 and led the league in assists, but it would not fit with the Lakers because he's bull in China shop. He's so bullheaded. He's just going to try to run through the brick wall and make things happen that would drive LeBron out of his mind.
And he's owed $91 million over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And look, like I said, I think he's a great. But here's Chris. But remember when he left Houston, he says Russ needs to be Russ. Now, if he's going to be James Harden went to the Nets and says, I can't play with the Nets like I played in Houston. Is Russ going to really adapt his game to that, Skip?
I don't know. I mean, there'd be a little chance that he would just because he'd get to go home and say, okay, maybe this is my shot here. Yeah. But I don't know. God, because
James Harden totally adapted his game.
I don't think he could adjust his game. He's not going to become a shooter.
Right.
If he's just out there kind of being a pedestrian point guard and running the offense, he's not going to be himself. Here's the category I put him in, and I use this word in the most positive way I can. He's like this spectacle. He's just an individual whirlwind. And I put him in the category with Allen Iverson and Pistol Pete Maravich. Both of those guys are iconic, right? Iverson, it took Larry Brown, an all-time great coach, to just say, look, I got to build this team around this unique player. Just a bunch of grinders, defenders, jump shooters, rebounders, guys who can't create their own shot and don't want to. And that's the only way we can win with Allen Iverson. And if you look at his career, that's really the only year he had any real deep playoff success. And then he goes to even play in Denver with Carmelo Anthony. They get beat in the first round. Then he goes to Detroit, and he couldn't adjust his game to play with those guys, and that's when his career began to fizzle. And Pistol Pete, I mean, again, he's iconic. We all know about Pistol Pete and how great he was, how flashy he was. But I had guys, former players, tell me, remember, he was named the top 50 player.
Right.
And I had one tell me he questioned that because he said, look at Pistol Pete. When he went to teams, they got worse. And when he left teams, they got better. He was an individual, amazing spectacle to watch. But did he really help teams win? And so I put, look, that's a good category. You're going to be a Hall of Famer. You're going to be a legend. People are going to be talking about you decades from now. But as far as winning championships, you would take a lot lesser players in many instances.
Real quick, I got to stand up for Pistol Pete just for a second because I saw him a lot in college.
Yeah.
He was a gifted passer.
Yeah.
Now, he had alcohol issues when he got in pro basketball, and he was kind of a disaster. But he was much more gifted passing than Russell is.
Yeah.
Russell had to teach himself how to get assists.
Skip, it's about fit.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Middleton and Holiday, they fit with Giannis.
I know. I got it.
I mean, it's not a good fit.
Yeah. And by the way, Russell Westbrook plays as hard as Giannis does on offense, but he doesn't play that hard on defense.
All right, Chris.
I don't know. Maybe longest to play.
Week 15, you done. Yeah. You just finishing out the schedule.
Really?
That's all you do.
Here we go.
Already saying that? I apparently put Cowboys colors on. I don't know if that's a good sign, bad sign. I'm not so sure how I feel about it. We will talk about the Cowboys in a bit. But listen to this. The director of the original Space Jam has spoken out, guys, against LeBron's new version. Joe Pica told TMZ that it took him 5 different sittings to finish the new 2-hour version movie, in addition to ripping the soundtrack and its depiction of Bugs Bunny, but perhaps his biggest target was the star LeBron James himself, explaining that the king doesn't have the superstar je ne sais quoi that MJ had, saying, quote, "The truth is that LeBron ain't Michael." Shannon, how much do you disagree with this?
Well, I disagree with him because I liked the movie. I thought the movie, I gave it a B+. Yeah, it was a little long, but it did.
He said it took him 5 sittings to get through it.
Well, I mean, maybe he's just old. Maybe his attention span isn't that long, Skip. But it seems like, to me, he has a problem with Warner Brothers because he was the original director, and maybe Warner Brothers did not invite him back to do the sequel. That's not uncommon, Skip. We've seen a lot of guys direct the first installment of it, and then they go in a different direction for the next one, whether it's creative differences or whatever the case may be. But I think at this point in time in his life, in his career, LeBron James understands one thing. I am going to receive a certain level of criticism no matter what I do. And once you realize you're not going to be able to appease everybody, nor should you attempt to, your life will be much better. And so I think that's where LeBron is in his situation. Skip, look, this is what he said. I'm trying to figure. In 2016, this is what he said. He says, "I don't see how it could work. Plus, I don't want them to make it." That's probably the real reason, isn't it? So 5 years